What's up everybody, Avian here. It's not often that I talk about melee supports in depth on the channel, although I feel Nautilus Support is a video that many people have been asking for and something that I've seen cropping up more often in game. So why is Nautilus being picked? Well, his ultimate is really strong, and it allows Nautilus to hunt down key targets with his team, alongside an impressive spell kit for engaging, slowing and stunning enemies further. The threat caused by his kit often forces enemies to itemise against it, which could delay other items that would perhaps give them more damage. And in the support role, it's important to try and peel and protect instead of playing aggressively 100% of the time. But of course, do so if you have an opportunity. And finally, bear in mind that although Q is a skill shot that you could compare to, I suppose, Thresh or Blitzcrank, its range is pretty impressive and it really is an all-in when you use it, so be certain that it's the right time to do so. Nautilus synergizes really well with carries who possess crowd control and mobility, characters who are able to get into the right position, such as Vayne, Tristana, Corki or Kalista, and follow on with crowd control. And even more carries are coming to my mind now, like Jhin or Caitlyn or Jinx. These characters allow damage to leak out throughout the duration of your crowd control, and the easier the enemies are to thrash, the better it is to get ahead, obviously. And with this I mean supports such as Morgana, Nami, Janna or Soraka, or carries like Sivir, Ezreal, Vayne or Tristana, even Kalista. These are going to be really difficult, especially in your early game. However, once you get your ultimate, it's always going to be a turning point against some of these champions. So in that case, it's just about getting through the early game and using the window of time before they've itemized against you to make your opportunities happen. Now these champions are just difficult because they have a lot of defiance towards your kit, and Sivir and Morgana can pretty much completely negate you, full stop. Whilst a good Nami or Janna will also be able to handle the situation reasonably well as well. So if you're up against any of these, I wish you the best of luck. But we've gone over why Nautilus is strong in the intro, and the anchor to engage, and the spell kit to control and slow enemies further is just great potential. And remember to translate this potential into the support role and protect your carries with your spell kit. So good luck in your laning phase. Now for your itemization, I would start with Relic Shield, Potions and a Warding Totem, and move on to the Boots, Sightstone, upgrade to Target's Brace and get into the Red Trinket. And by mid to late game, I generally have Locket of the Iron Solari, Knight's Vow or Redemption, and a couple of other situational items. Boots are often upgraded for mobility when possible, as this aids the engage potential. Now for magic resistant situational items, take Mikkel's Crucible or Banshee's Veil, or there's Rock Portal. And for armor defensive items, Ranyuin's Omen, Dead Man's Plate, or Sunfire Cape can also be good choices, or even the Frozen Heart. Now I chose these items because the CC Defiance that Mikkel's or Banshee's offers is really useful in the right requirements to get into a good position to engage. Whilst building against AD enemies, Dead Man's Plate can help you catch enemies out, and it all round improves your engage potential. Although Sunfire Cape and Ranyuin's are really good for the close-up fights, whilst Frozen Heart can inhibit enemies who rely on attack speed, such as Vayne. I choose Face of the Mountain for shorter games, although if I predict it's longer, I go into Eye of the Equinox and get cooldown reduction from another item. And items are pretty much a huge subject, and it varies every game depending on what we're against and how the enemies are doing. So if you have any questions, just drop a comment. Moving deeper into the Abyss, my runes are Armor Marks, Health Seals, Magic Resistance Glyphs, and Armor Quintessences. And this is just pretty much a standard page for melee supports in my book, and it's always done well for me. And it adds into the Masteries, as here I choose 0, 12, 18. Opting in for more utility within the Cunning Tree, and then choosing Courage of the Colossus, as this grants an additional small shield every 45 to 30 seconds depending on my level. Now when used with W, the engage with the additional shield allows you to further auto attack enemies and position yourself efficiently whilst under stress from the enemy as well. And remember that Nautilus does more damage by auto attacking the enemy first and then using E. It's not only just to slow the enemy, but it also allows you to follow with another auto attack and more after as well. So remember to attack after you've landed your Q first. Another point is to delay an auto attack after an enemy has been hit by your ultimate. Let the time of each crowd control be as efficient as possible to maximize the lockdown time. And for your skill order, I generally recommend E first, although I do take Q if we're going to invade or catch an enemy at level 1. And after E, I take Q and then W. And then I max out E first, onto W next, and finally Q, whilst of course always taking a point in R whenever it's possible. In the laning phase, try and anchor enemies down and follow up with the chain control and damage as I've described. And if they have any of their spells on cooldown or after a shield wears out, try and engage, although be sure it's safe to do so, such as being aware of the enemy teammates' positions, how many minions are alive to hit you, and any of their summoner spell cooldowns. And if it's at all possible, try and avoid being poked. Just stand back behind the minions and respect enemies, because if you're forced to play passive due to low health, you're not going to have an opportunity to engage and get ahead unless an ally comes to assist you. And as you reach mid game, your items and your mobility start to ripen, so group up and try and catch enemies, as this is really ideal and quite easy as Nautilus. And if you can force any objectives afterwards, brilliant. Otherwise, head on team fights, your potential to interrupt things is almost effortless, so make sure you're there with a good enough health to start and be in the fight in the first place. Now if you have any questions at all about Nautilus support, drop them in the comments below as always, as I'm highly likely to learn something too as well. It's been quite refreshing to play something melee for a change, and I'm sure I've missed out many things myself. So thanks for watching guys, good fight, good night, nah, bye. Slightly left of the turret, it can do different shit. Oh! Whee! He's alive.